Let's talk about why people develop eating disorders. This is my perspective as someone who has lived through almost 20 years of having an eating disorder and has recovered from one and supports women on their own recovery journeys. So I'm sharing this from my lived experience and my personal perspective. I truly and deeply believe that we develop eating disorders as a coping mechanism. We develop patterns as a form of self-protection. So here's what I'll say about coping mechanisms. We need them. Things in life happen that are overwhelming. Things in life happen that are really hard. We're not taught how to handle our heavy emotions. We're not taught how to express them. We're not taught how to connect with ourselves, how to learn how to love ourselves. At least I wasn't taught that. So when you don't know how to deal with the hard stuff, and when you don't know how to handle your emotions, and when you don't know how to communicate what's going on with you, you develop coping mechanisms to handle that stuff. Coping mechanisms in and of themselves aren't bad. Now, some coping mechanisms are healthier than others. So I'll give you some examples. A coping mechanism can be calling someone to talk about your feelings. A coping mechanism can be doing some type of exercise. It can be taking a nap. It can also be using drugs, abusing alcohol, abusing yourself, and developing eating disordered patterns and habits that are essentially self-harm, because those things help you either A, control your emotions or think that you're controlling your emotions, or B, help you feel something. So if you're a person who's ever dealt with hugely intense feelings, but you don't know what to do with them and you feel overwhelmed, you probably do one of two things. One, you try to numb that feeling because it feels like too much and you can't handle it. Or two, you chase the feeling of strong emotions because it gives you some kind of thrill. So I'm not saying that eating disorders develop because we want to have them. And I'm also acknowledging that yes, people are genetically predisposed to them. Mental health conditions also can have a root in chemical imbalances in the brain and in the body. I do not believe that developing an eating disorder or another mental health condition is the fault of the person who develops it. What I do believe is that very often it develops as some kind of way of protecting the person who has it. So for me, I was never taught that it was okay to have bad emotions. So anger, fear, guilt, shame, jealousy, those types of emotions, I was pretty much told like you shouldn't have them. Definitely you shouldn't express them. I was a child who emoted a lot. My mom would say that I had hissy fits, which is very true. But no one ever really told me that like it's normal and okay to have those types of emotions, and definitely didn't tell me what to do when I had them. So somewhere along the way, I developed some behaviors that helped me cope essentially with these really strong emotions. Also, because I never was really taught how to like be with myself or how to understand myself, along with some other factors that were happening in my life, I developed like an ingrained sense of self-hatred. I did not love myself. Really, I didn't like myself at all. And because of those factors, the self-hatred and like the not understanding how to deal with the intense stuff, I developed habits and patterns that felt kind of, in a weird way, self-protective. So attempting to control how my body looked, attempting to control how much food I ate or what I did with the food I ate or what type of food I ate or what my weight was. It allowed me to like hyper focus on something other than the really intense, heavy emotions that I was experiencing in my life. And I was in so many different types of eating disorder treatment for such a long time, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with any of them. I worked with really great clinicians, really great providers, but because I never really addressed this particular part of my lived experience, I didn't recover. So it wasn't until I went below what seems obvious, like below just the behaviors of the eating disorder, and started to address the deeper root of why do I have this emotional disconnect? What do I do with these heavy emotions? How do I learn to be with myself? How do I learn to stop hating myself? It wasn't until I did that stuff that I was actually able to recover successfully and then maintain that recovery for years and years. Okay, so I shared a little bit about why I think that eating disorders develop so commonly, like what happened in my personal life and how it happened for me, and then in working with other women and talking to other women who have similar lived experiences, this comes up so much. So I think the biggest question that people have is like, okay, Paige, that maybe sounds like that could be happening to me. I resonate with this. I do feel like there's some deeper things that are happening. Maybe this is something that you've already realized, or maybe this is the first time you're realizing it. Either way, I think a question you may have is, what do I do? Like, how do I actually start to stop hating myself? How do I actually start to create new patterns? What do I actually do with these huge, big emotions that I have that you're describing? And I will say this, there, in my experience, are two kind of like categories of ways of dealing with these types of things and healing these types of things within ourselves. And the first one is more mental, cognitive. It involves reframing your mindset, noticing your thoughts, challenging your thoughts, learning about yourself, potentially learning about different strategies, different tools, talking to people, having support from someone, those types of things. Basically, like using your brain and your cognitive mind to understand yourself more. And that is super important. It is highly valuable. And for me, what had to go along with that was embodiment. And when I say that, what I mean is not just cognitively understanding a concept, but feeling it in your body, knowing it to be true in yourself. So there's something very different about using your mind to think, like an affirmation, for example, like, I love myself. Okay, it's nice to say that, it's nice to think that, but if you don't actually believe it and it doesn't resonate and it doesn't feel true in your body, it's not really going to be that helpful for you to try to think your way to making it true, or try to repeat it a bunch of times until magically it becomes true. I do think that affirmations are really helpful. I love them and use them a lot. And what has been so much more important to my journey is learning how to experience that truth in my body. So there are multiple ways to do this. I talk about dance a lot because I love to dance, and I know that everyone doesn't love to dance. So that's not the only way that this can be done. But using your body to connect with yourself. So that can be through your breath. You can do breath work exercises. That can be through physical touch. I'm working with someone right now who told me, I never touch myself, like intentionally, or when I do, I never think about it. So physical touch to yourself, by yourself, for yourself is another one. Moving your body in ways that feel good just because it feels good, not because you're trying to burn calories, not because you're trying to get stronger, not because you're trying to look better, whatever. And even with dance, not necessarily because you're trying to like learn a choreography or perform or something like that, but movement that just feels good for you. Personally, I love to combine this with music. Music is so powerful in so many cultures. Music is used as a healing modality. So find some music that you like, turn it on, and move your body. Now, you might have a lot of energy when you do this, and what might feel good is a really fast movement, like jumping up and down, shaking your hands, maybe even making weird noises. Another time you might have low energy, and what might feel good is just like gently swaying back and forth or laying on the floor and rolling side to side. You don't have to follow a certain like outline of movement. You don't have to think about, am I doing it right, or what does it look like? It's just being with yourself. And I do this all the time. Like, I'll do like a whole session where I'll turn on music and dance and move and do yoga and whatever feels good for me for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. And then also I very frequently do this for like 30 seconds to a minute in the middle of the day when I feel a little funky, but I feel like I need to do something to move. And I am telling you, it might sound like that's not really gonna be helpful. Just try it. Just try turning on a song that you like and moving your body a little bit. This helps you connect to yourself. I think so many women, we live up in our minds, we live in our brains. We're smart, we're successful, we're driven, we use our minds a lot, but so disconnected from our bodies. What is my body actually feeling? Does my body actually like what's going on right now? Can I even tell if I like it? And learning to tune into your body, what